Good morning. Good to see y'all guys again. Deshaun here from Voice from the Dirt Road. It's been a great week. Very busy week. But what I would tell you is I wouldn't change one thing about the week. So I just say thank you to everybody out there that's been supporting us with this show and supporting us with everything else that we actually involved in. So want to let you know that. Appreciate everything. But we're gonna jump right into the show this morning. Let me, with Shelly, if you'll put that stool back up so I can orient everybody back to what this show is all about. Last week we took the week off for the holidays, and hopefully everybody had a great time. I know a lot of people may still be on spring break now, but in the world of agriculture, a lot of things are going on. From cattle prices being up, from fuel prices being up, to fertilizer being up, to a war is going on or not going on. It's all kind of things going on. But every last thing that I just mentioned there affects everything on this stool. And as y'all guys know, we try to focus in on livestock, row crop, forestry, and then on top of all of those things, behind the curtains or even in front of the curtain, is the ag department, where they're actually trying to make sure that they take care of our farmers. And we're going to get in the weeds on a lot of those things, but still currently today, Congress is going to go back to work next week, and we're going to see where the farm bill is going to actually make it through or not. I'll continue to keep you up to date on that. But that's kind of the gist of this show, is to be able to talk directly to rural America, at the same time bring rural America's issues forward, discuss them, and then on top of all that, make sure that people that live in our cities have a little bit of a glimpse of what does it mean to live out on a farm or live in a place where you still do real agriculture. So we try to make sure that flavor is there. And today's show is not going to be my longest show, because guess what? As soon as I finish this show, I got to jump in the truck, get over to Alabama, because I'm actually purchasing fertilizer today, because we actually putting it out on our pastures, getting ready for the spring. As y'all guys know, we're in the middle of a drought, but got to get it out there. And next week I'll show some pictures and videos from that process, so the people that don't understand how do you get fertilizer on your fields can better understand it. So we'll take what I'm doing after the show today and turn it into a little bit of a show next week, just to let you know how we do that. And then also I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, Tuskegee University. They actually gifted me this shirt here, and it's from the USDA program, from the Agriculture Marketing Service Fellow. So thank you. They told me that if I was at Tuskegee now, and it's been a long time since I was a student at Tuskegee, I just say it that way. But if I was at Tuskegee now, still in the agriculture department, working on my agriculture business degree, then I would have had one of these shirts and been walking around the campus. So I'm so proud to be able to wear it and represent Tuskegee. So if you see me out and about today, but if you see me out and about somewhere in the future, you may actually see me with this shirt on, because Tuskegee is the one who gave me my initial foundation in the world of agriculture, at least at the college level, because y'all guys, I was born on a farm, but at least at the college level, Tuskegee was that first place. And then Colin and I, we went on to Michigan State and many other places. So love agriculture, love what we're doing, and we love passing this information on to y'all guys. So with that, let's jump right into our very first video, because I want to set the stage of where we're at in agriculture this week, because a lot of things are going on. So with that, Shelly, will you play the first video, and then I'll talk after Secretary Rollins.
Focus now on some of the economic effects of the war with Iran. About a third of the world's fertilizer supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, and its effective closure is causing shortages and price spikes for fertilizer during the crucial spring planting season. That has led to fears of both elevated food prices and lower crop yields across the globe. This morning, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins told PBS News' Liz Landers that, quote, everything was on the table to fix the problem for American farmers.
Clearly, I think we're at 36 days for the conflict, has elevated the issue of fertilizer and how important it is for American farmers and frankly for our food supply. The good news is that about 80% of our farmers actually last fall locked in their fertilizer. So as we're moving into planting season, it's only about 20 to 25% of our farmers that didn't lock that in. We are working directly to ensure that we can get them what they need and it won't bankrupt them.
Yeah, I would tell you, Secretary Rawls is trying to do a good job, but the reality of it is that many farmers, that number as the week went on, that percentage of 80% of the farmers that locked their fertilizer costs in, come to find out that wasn't exactly the number itself. I won't say that people are trying to be misled, but right now, many farmers are still locking in their fertilizer costs. And on top of that, because of the things that's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, that means that the fertilizer cost is very, very high now. And many farmers are struggling, trying to figure out how they're going to be able to take on this additional cost and kind of go from there. But before I get too far into it, I just saw Bob. I think I sent you a thing and said, hi, good to see you, brother. I'm going to be working some cows here in the next couple of weeks. Look forward to you coming over and having a great conversation. So again, Bob, thanks for getting up with me. You're probably smiling right now and saying, wait a minute, Sean actually recognized it. Yep, I'm getting better at this gig. So Bob, thank you for watching us this morning. But back to what I was just talking about, that many of our farmers were waiting to see, this is prior to the war, was waiting to see what tariffs was going to be and what was going to bring down fertilizer costs. So they did not lock their fertilizer costs in. Now we done got into the war and the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, as of right now, is we pray and hope that the ceasefire holds. But the reality of it is that ships are not really going through. And then if they go through, it looks like Iran is going to start charging a toll. And if they charge that toll, that means fuel prices, diesel prices, oil prices, fertilizer prices, and everything else potentially is going to stay high. So as farmers, we need to stay on top of that so that we can manage what we're actually doing. With that being said, I'll talk a little bit more about that during my the rest of this show, but I want to move into something now just on a positive note, because as a cattle farmer, livestock, as a cattle farmer, that's what I do. I run a cow-calf operation. Love it. We're still growing our herd here in a little bit. Like I mentioned to Bob, in about two or 3 weeks, end of April, we will start the AI process. We'll film that and show everybody how that process works. But the reality of it is, cattlemen like me throughout the country, we are making money on cattle. In theory, and reason why I want to say in theory is because when you sell your cows or you sell a calf, you get a check and you say, wow, I got a lot of money, $2,000, $3,000, whatever it is. But if you don't actually take the time, the reason why I bring this up, because I talk to a lot of cattle farmers, we love to talk about the check that we received or what somebody gave us for a cow or a calf, but we don't talk about how much did it cost us to actually produce that cow or calf. And what I mean by that, fertilizer costs, fuel costs, any veterinary bills, how many things of input you had to put into that was taken out of that check that you received. And I think as cattlemen, we need to start having the hard discussion on, are we really making money or we're not when you start adding all your costs in? Because just like everybody else in the country, especially our row crop, our cost is also going up. That means that your profits are coming down. And the question is, are we actually making money or not? Now, I will tell you on the cattle business, one of the reasons why we're making money is a simple thing of supply and demand. And the ones of us that work in the business world or got your MBA, that's very easy. But supply and demand is this. Cattle the size of the herd is the smallest it's been in roughly about 75, 76 years. That means it's very small, but our beef is great and demand is up and people are still going to the grocery store buying it every day. Hence, the demand for us out there to raise cattle is still high. That's why prices are high. But the question is this: as everything continues to go up at the grocery store, will everyday people continue to buy our product? And if that continues to happen, we're going to continue to make money. But if they decide to go in a different direction, buy chicken or buy something else, or don't even buy any protein at all, then guess what? It collapses on us and we're in a major problem. So we need to have a great discussion on that. But let us move into our next little topic on the cattle, because that is my area that I love to talk about. So let's, Shelly, tee up the cattle piece and I'll come back and talk about it on the back end.
The herd has dropped to its smallest size in 75 years, with just 86.2 million cattle and calves on farms. That's roughly one cow for every 4 Americans. It's keeping beef prices high from the farm to the grocery store. Experts say rebuilding the herd will not be easy. Rising costs for land, feed, and equipment, along with strong demand for property, they're all keeping many farmers from expanding.
Supply will stay steady to lower, which in the short run, from a supply perspective and a price perspective, will keep prices elevated, if not higher than what we saw last year.
And even if herds begin to grow, it could take more than a year before beef reaches grocery shelves, meaning high prices, well, they may stick around for the foreseeable future. Now, those beef prices are going up across the country. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says a pound of lean ground beef currently costs about $8.34. Last year, it was $7.55, and in 2022, it was $6.52. Reporter Ellen Ice spoke with a beef producer and seller in the Bluegrass State who explains why it's happening and how you can cut costs.
This is Amanda Hall with Halstead Farms and Meats.
A couple hogs last year, so this is their pork. We have pork chops, sirloin chops, your ribs, sausage.
They're a local beef producer right outside of Lexington.
Here we have our ribeyes on the bottom. Then we have some T-bones.
Amanda and her husband Reed call the current beef market the perfect storm.
The cow herd is at its lowest number that they have been at in 70 years. So if you think about the supply and demand, you know, naturally whenever the supply is a little bit lower, your prices will go higher.
And according to the Halls, that's because of a few things, like the age of farmers, consecutive drought years in the West, where majority of cattle production takes place, and the price you can get right now for a beef cow.
You're seeing older gentlemen sell entire herds, people selling animals to pay debt down.
But they say beef is still what's for dinner.
They are still choosing beef. They're still grabbing the ground beef, the steaks, the roast, because they know that it is such an awesome protein.
To stretch your budget, they recommend connecting with a local producer and bulk buying, like getting a quarter, half, or a whole cow.
The bulk pricing is much cheaper in the way that from a fillet all the way down to, say a chuck roast, if you will, your pricing per pound is all the same.
Cutting costs
We have a beautiful tomahawk right here.
doesn't mean you have to trim the fat.
Back in February, we spoke with a multi-generational cattle farmer in East Tennessee who has raised beef for decades. You can watch that story and learn more about bulk ordering right now at WBIR.com.
All right. As you can see there, like I said, cattle prices are up. Things are great. But as cattle producers or as just everyday people out there, we need to make sure that we clearly understand what's going on, because if you don't watch it, you can get upside down. One of the decisions that I'm personally making here on my farm is, do we expand or not? You notice what they said in the video. Some of our older farmers are deciding to sell out because right now they can make a lot of money. And when I say sell out, they're selling all the cows, they're selling the farm, they're selling everything. I would tell you the one thing I don't want to see is investors come in, and the next thing you know, a beautiful farm has 40 or 50 houses on it. I'm not against houses being built, but I am against farmland being taken up, because as it disappears, you're never going to get it back. So one of the decisions that we'll be making here on my personal farm, and I know other farmers that I talk to are going through that same process of right now, yes, money's tight, things are high, but is this the right time to purchase more land? Is this the right time to purchase more cows? And all of those particular factors, because as far as the land piece, that's a whole different discussion. We'll have a show on that. But then on the flip side of the coin, when it comes to the cattle piece of it, is this. If you can afford the cattle right now and you got the grass and you can expand, I would recommend doing that. But at the end of the day, I would also say to just everyday people, if you plan on getting in farming or getting in this business that I'm in, do it. But think about this. This is not easy. This is a long-term decision. This is a generational decision. And you need to make sure that you clearly understand that when you get into this type farming or any type farming, depending on what scale you're trying to be at, it is hard work. It is not something that you're just going to be able to walk in here today and walk away. So I think you really need to think through that. And you got to be hands-on. You got to be hands-on. You can't be sitting in some corporate office thinking that you're a farmer. No, you got to come out here and get dirty with all the rest of us if you're going to do it the right way. So we will continue to have these discussions. I plan to have some shows that we actually break down. Is now the right time to buy farm property, or is this the right time to buy cattle? Yes or no? And then so that if you decide to get in this business, or if you are already in this business, maybe I can help you with your decision making. I won't tell you what to do, but I just want to provide you with the information so that you can make a better decision on what you want to do. But I would tell you up front, that with everything that I got going on my farm, it is work. So like I said, as soon as I get off this show this morning, I'm jumping right in the truck and I'm headed to Alabama to buy some fuel. I mean, to buy some fertilizer. So let's just move just a little bit. Let me check and see if I got any more comments. Hold on. Trying to get better at this thing. Everybody just pretty much saying good morning. So please, good morning. Thank you for all the little comments of saying, Sean, we're proud of you. I don't know what you're proud of me of. I'm just doing a cattle Voices of the Dirt Road show. Okay. I'm just a cattle farmer. So, but again, thank you for that. Thank you. Your encouragement, your prayers keeps our energy up, and we're going to continue to keep our energy up. We're going to continue to do what we do, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And that's the life of farming. But let me just touch one more thing. Currently, as y'all guys know, I spent many years in the service, many years in the Middle East, and we have now been in a war now for I think about 40 days. Don't quote me on that. We have lost some lives. God bless their souls. But in addition to that, right now, I think we're still supposed to be in a ceasefire. I hadn't really looked at the news early this morning, but what I do know is this: is it? I'm not sure if it's going to hold, and if it does hold, I'm not sure if Iran's not now going to start charging every ship that goes through, which in turn may keep the cost of oil and everything else high. So as farmers, we need to take this in consideration as we move forward. With that being said, I have one more video. We'll talk about what's currently happening in the Middle East, and then from that, we'll close the show out. So if you have any questions that you want me to address, please put it in the chat right now when this video come up. And if I see it, I'll try to address it on this show. If not, I'll address it next week. Shelley?
Now, the White House is preparing for peace talks as the fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran remains intact. And according to CNN, Vice President J.D. Vance and other senior members will go to Pakistan this Saturday to continue the conversation. The vice president spoke about the ceasefire during his visit to Hungary. And there are some conflicting reports surrounding the status on the Strait of Hormuz. While the White House says it is seeing more ships getting through, Independent analysts say there's no change in traffic since the ceasefire was announced. Adding to the complications, Iran published a chart suggesting it put sea mines in the key waterway, and it's unclear whether they are still there.
Well, as you can see there, it's a lot of unknown. Not going to get back into my other life of being in the military. I think you see enough stuff back there behind me that talks about being in the military. Matter of fact, directly behind me there, that yellow ribbon is the yellow ribbon that we received when we came back from our deployment to Afghanistan in 2007, 2008. I'm proud that 15 of us went to Afghanistan and 15 of us came back, and 15 of us are still doing the right thing today. And so that's, we'll leave that alone. But what I want to say as far as what's going on in the Middle East right now and how it's affecting us as farmers, I think my recommendation is to be to every farmer, don't put your head in the sand. You got to pay attention to international affairs, because the things that are actually happening right now over in Iran and over in the Middle East will have direct effect on you and your farm here on the ground. This morning, as soon as I finish this show, I'm jumping in the truck and I got to go to Alabama and actually purchase fertilizer. When I actually did we did our soil test, and I'll talk about that at some other point. We did our soil test. My soil is pretty good here on this farm. We had 6.2, which is right in that sweet spot. So I don't need that many different things to go into my fertilizer. But on the flip side of the coin, I was thinking about putting chicken manure out, and come to find out, because demand is so high right now for fertilizer, and fertilizer cost is being so high, that chicken manure costs more than my fertilizer, because all the farmers are moving toward chicken manure this time. So demand, supply and demand is everywhere. So at least when it came to my farm, I made the decision it was better for me to have regular fertilizer versus the chicken manure. One of the things, I just put a little caveat out there, nothing's wrong with either one. There's a lot of science behind both of them. However, if you get the chicken manure, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have weeds and stuff all in your pastures. Where if you get the regular fertilizer, you have a decrease on that. But just for me, today, the price of fertilizer is cheaper for me to go get the fertilizer that's mixed specifically for my soil test versus chicken manure. So I will be going today, but what I will tell you is this, and you'll see this in next week's show, is the price that I'm going to pay. The reason why I'm getting this price today is because we locked it in. And when I get there, I can't go down there talking about I'll pay you next week or I'll pay you next month. No, I got to write a check today to lock that price in, because every day the price of oil is going up. And if the price of oil goes up, fertilizer goes up, diesel goes up, and that is the price that you actually pay out there. So just give you that little bit of insight, because farming now is tough. It's still fun, but you got to stay on top of everything that's going on in the world, internationally, nationwide, and then also locally. So that's where we're at right now. I will tell you, like I say every week, as you know, I mentioned that I was a veteran, and I mentioned that 15 of us went to Afghanistan and 15 of us are back home. I'm proud of that. I'm also very proud that the fact that none of us are to the point that we want to make a short-term decision for an issue. And we talk to each other all the time. So I want to just give a quick little shout out to those guys. But what I'm getting at is this: with everything that's currently going on in the world and currently going on in agriculture, and many farmers are a lot older right now, roughly the average age is around 60 something. It is very hard for young people to get into this business. We need to make sure we open some doors to get for young farmers in here. But on the flip side of the coin, people are starting to lose their farms, and that means people are getting a lot more stress. Just last week I mentioned it, and we will go into some more detail, because just last week, I think it was $300 million or something, don't quote me on the number, was cut out of a program that was designed to get minorities, indigenous people, women into agriculture. I think we need to have that conversation, because I am worried that if we continue going down the same road that we're going down, everybody won't have a chance to get into this thing called agriculture and feeding America and those kind of things. But the reason why I bring it up is this, is, you know, right now, unfortunately, 22 veterans per day decide to commit suicide. And that's very bad. That's 22 too many. And we got to continue to work on that. But on the flip side of the coin, farmers are actually committing suicide at a faster rate than veterans. And part of that issue is you live in a rural community. We don't actually have any mental health facilities or wraparound services. And then sometimes it's just pride, to be honest with you. I don't want to go talk to nobody and tell them about my problems. But the reality of it is, when the bank tells you that you the 5th, 7th, 8th, 10th generation that's been on this farm, but you the one going to lose it because you cannot afford to get the fertilizer, you can't afford to get the diesel, you can't afford to get the operating costs to run your farm this year, then we got too many farmers that are deciding to commit suicide. So that's something that I do every time is this. No matter what the subject is, I'm going to come back to it because I think it's very important. Just like I think it's very important for our veterans. Here is the number. It's 988. Very simple. Call that number and you can get somebody on the line and they can talk to you and help you, because all it's about is getting to the next day. The sun will come up tomorrow and things will look better, and we can get somebody to help you, because at the end of the day, the last thing that we need is for this industry of agriculture to collapse in on itself. And because if agriculture in the United States collapses, everything collapses, because agriculture, farming is the #1 business in America. So no matter where you live, no matter what you do, I don't care if you ever been to a farm in your entire life, your job is dependent on the backs of farmers. And if farmers actually collapse in on themselves, the next thing you know, Atlanta, New York City, California, and everybody else is going to start collapsing on themselves. So right now, farmers in a pickle. We got some subsidies that's supposed to be coming out. We'll see if they're going to get there in time. But the banks are not saying yes like they used to. So we're in a situation that we got to put our hands back around our farmers and help them. So, hey, this morning was a great show in this crazy week that we have been in. And if you know me personally, you know it has been a crazy but a very rewarding week. I want everybody to clearly understand that the way Sean Harris' mind thinks is sometime you have to fail to be successful. Sometime you have to fall down to understand how to get the hell back up. And if you truly know me, people talk about all the awards and accolades and education and stuff I got. But what I always kind of keep in my mind is those points in my career in the agriculture world or whatever I was doing where we fell short. And then that process of getting back up on your feet, standing up, shaking, dusting yourself off and moving out. And this week here was one of those weeks that we did some amazing things. We didn't get where we wanted to be, but we already back up on our feet. Nobody got their head down. Nobody's looking sad. We're moving on and moving in the right direction. So again, to all of those people that support our show, to all those people that support everything that we do, all those people that I see at Tractor Supply, Walmart, or anywhere else, thank you for your help. Thank you for your prayers. But I don't want anybody to be down, because I'm not down. Whatnot. I know some people were like, well, Sean, you okay? Yes, I'm just fine, because guess what? Things like that don't define you. What we're all about is helping farmers and helping everybody throughout the United States and right here in Northwest Georgia where I live. So That's what the focus is going to be, and we're going to continue to do that. So you'll see me out and about here real soon. And if you see me out this morning, you're going to see me put some of this high-priced diesel in my truck to go to Alabama to go buy this high-priced fertilizer. And then if you drive by my farm, you're going to see me out there putting fertilizer out all day today, because the only way I'm getting the price that I'm getting, I got to pick it up this morning, come here to the farm, put it out, and then get the buggy back to them today to get the price that I need, because some other farmers need it tomorrow. So with that, I think I've touched on everything. I think I tried to put a lot into a little bit of small package. Been talking now for 30 minutes. And guess what? The cup is empty. That little bit right there was too cold. I couldn't drink it, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.